When you get so many options of a thing, what you thought you had is of no value anymore.
Everybody wants to do what they see is popular.
Many people in this world are followers.
If I can't pop it in the microwave and get it in 5 to 10 minutes, I don't really want that. And they looking at relationships like that. They're looking at friendships like that, businesses like that. They even drive like that.
Dating pool in the dating market right now for young men is complex.
In this life, that's really transferable is values. Wealth is not just a monetary system. It's a value system, because I can go produce all of this money for myself and my family right now. But if I haven't been able to pass down the values to the people that's going to inherit it, all of that stuff that I built could be lost.
Innate ability and the capacity to handle that type of resource, to handle that type of pressure, to handle that type of money, immediately you'll come to a loss.
They only know what they know. And that's the thing about parenting. You parent from a place of what you felt like that you lacked, or what you actually was given to you.
What does your subconscious say about money? When you get money in your hands, what's your first thought? And if a person is not taught that, it throws them off.
We build a life based upon survival. You know, that's a lot of things I talk about, especially in my book. I talk about the difference between purpose and survival, and the way that we were taught to use resources, or just resources as a whole. Counterparts, they was taught to use money as a tool to produce. We was taught to use money as a tool to survive. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to Uncoded Conversations. It's your boy Jay Goday, and I got my people, my brother here with me, Mr. Guevara Johnson. What's good with it, bro?
Man, everything good. It's good to be here.
Man, I'm glad you can make it on the set, man.
Yeah.
You know, man, I got a lot to talk about, bro. You know, it's been about 5 years since we first connected. You know
Absolutely.
What I'm saying? And you was a young man. You know, still a young man, but you was a young man transitioning then, and now you then, you know, came out, left the hood, went to college, came back, you know. So let's just talk about that journey, bro. Like, what's life looking like for you right now?
Well, I mean, it's definitely been a journey. That's the first thing. Just having the tenacity to overcome, and I attended Louisiana Tech University, so with that being a PWI university, it was just a lot to overcome. There was a lot of obstacles and things like that, but the journey has definitely been worth it. It's been worth it because it's taught me so much. It's brought me to a place of complete peace, you know, on the inside. You know, I think when you go through these things, it's good because it brings perseverance and it brings patience. So that's really it. The journey's been amazing, though. Really is what I can say. It's been amazing. Ever since we met, you know, before we met, up until that time, the journey has been one that I can say, if I had to redo it over again, I'd do it over again.
That's good, man. You know, I've been over the course of these years. You know, I pop in, watch you. You know, look at some of your messages that you, some of your lives, and man, I was like, I used to say to myself, I say, man, you know, you really, to me, I feel like you like the voice for the YNs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that new brand of, I'm like, I be laughing about this. I said, they really gave these dudes a brand of the YNs. You know what I'm saying? But I think, what would you say like that your generation struggles with? I heard you talk a lot about just giving perspective on like young dudes dating and bringing females into their life. Like, what's some of the things that you saw as we've gone through transitions in these generations, that some of the stuff that you were speaking on how y'all communicate with women, with young women, how y'all date? What are some of the things that you've seen in your age group that you just maybe are like, man, nah, that ain't the way?
Well, I think right now, social media has become such a big influence on the guys in my generation. And the dating pool and the dating market right now for young men it's complex. It's the best way I can put it, because you have so many people that want to, you know, they want relationship, they want companionship, but with the influence of social media and the way that social media is influencing a lot of the minds of the younger generation now, the dating pool is just, it's horrible. And it's changed because it's no more, it's not genuine love anymore. For instance, I'll give you an example. When you get so many options of a thing, what you thought you had is of no value anymore. So social media has made it where now I don't have to settle. I don't have to work through anything. I had some guy, I could just go on social media, make a post, boom, 10, 15 likes, 10, 15 different females.
Right.
Same thing for women, even worse, because they can go on social media now and post a picture and, get 350, 450 likes or whatever, some even more, and that's male validation coming in. So you really don't have the aspect of we're gonna stick it out. It's I can find another you, and I think that's the biggest problem right now with the younger generation. My generation is that it's so much accessibility. When you can access so many things,
Right.
access, we talk about access all the time. You taught me some things about having access. And when you have access to a thing, it no longer becomes valuable.
So you're basically saying like the respect of a relationship is really not there no more. There's no values on a relationship.
There's no value on the relationships anymore. It's no value on, let's stay together, let's work it out, let's try to. And I feel like in older and past generations, that was the biggest thing that kept them together, was we're gonna stay together and work it out. One, because they loved each other, but two, because they almost had no choice. It was very hard to communicate.
The thing what I see and I think is a real struggle is it seems like in today's world, not many people wants to lead the charge. Like everybody wants to do what they see is popular.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And that trickles down into relationships because whatever I see, if I see somebody relationship on social media, the immediate thing they say is that, man, that's a relationship goals.
Right.
But is it really relationship goals? Because you know nothing about these people. You know nothing about what they've done behind the scenes to achieve what you have depicted on the screen. You don't even know if that's a real image.
Absolutely. And then in the time that we're living in now, like I said, it goes back to social media because I can take a picture in 1 minute and it builds a story in the minds of people. And like you just said, that's not the truth.
Right.
You can, rent a place.
But it could be the truth though, right?
Yeah, it could be.
It could be the truth or not. But the thing is that the minds of the younger people that's watching, and I ain't even gonna just say younger people because they got some 40, 50 some people.
They are.
Older people that has adopted the same model, right?
Absolutely.
But the minds are so impressionable on what they're seeing is that they've totally negated what is actually behind. I don't know this person.
Right.
So because I don't know this person, I can't just take at face value that, man, I want to be just like them. I won't be just like, I want my relationship to be just like them. I want my business to be just like them. Well, how do you know? Because you have no real connection
Absolutely.
to that person.
Absolutely. And the truth about it is, if we're going to be, honest, many people in this world are followers. 80% of people in this world are followers. Mm-hmm. And they're not followers, I don't think, because they want to be followers. I think they're followers because they just don't know anything else. Mm-hmm. So when they see something, they want it, but they don't even know how to get it.
Right.
And that's a big problem with my generation.
Yeah. It's like that. It's like they don't, there's no respect for the in-between.
Absolutely.
It's like
Absolutely.
I see something that looks like the finished product.
Absolutely.
But it's so much more in between the start and that finished product. And it's like, nah, I just want to go from there to there. Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? We call it the microwavable generation. Like if I can't pop it in the microwave and get it in 5 to 10 minutes, I don't really want that. And they looking at relationships like that. Mm-hmm. They're looking at friendships like that, businesses like that.
Yes.
They even drive like that.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But it's a lot of the conversation I want to have with you from being, in that generation. I'm a millennial, you in the Gen Z generation, and y'all are really like our kids. Like, mm-hmm. my daughter and, y'all in the same age group, you're a little bit older than them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, it's like, I had to be so intentional on teaching my daughter the foundational things of life.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? Like, me and my wife, we was adamant, like she didn't get a cell phone until she was like 12 years old. She wasn't on social media until she was like 15. Like we made her go play outside when people at her school was not playing outside.
Right.
They were sitting on the game all day, sitting on the phone all day. And we were like, you're going to get exposed to that world later on. You know what I'm saying? But it was important because we like, the only thing in this life that's really transferable is values.
Right.
So we talk about the generational wealth gap. I talk about that a lot.
Yes.
And I'm going to ask you, about how you feel about your generation and the ability to be able to generate wealth, because wealth is not just a monetary system.
Absolutely.
It's a value system, because
Yes.
I can go produce all of this money for myself and my family right now.
Yeah.
But if I haven't been able to pass down the values to the people that's going to inherit it,
Right.
all of that stuff that I built could be lost.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah. So you're hitting the nail on the head with this, because when you look at lottery winners, let's take them for example. If you don't have the innate ability and the capacity to handle that type of resource, to handle that type of pressure, to handle that type of money,
Right.
Immediately you'll come to a loss.
Exactly.
So when we look at this, our generation, you just said you instill those principles and those values into your daughter.
Right.
If persons don't have those principles and values, or anyone to instill those principles or values, the money that they do have will quickly leave their hands.
Exactly.
And I think the biggest difference between generational wealth builders and people that just make good money is, like you said, values, core. What does your subconscious say about money?
Right.
You know, when you get money in your hands, what's your first thought?
Right.
And if a person is not taught that,
Right.
and it throws them off.
Yeah.
And many people in my generation, have not been taught that. That's why we have, we thank God for mentors like you that come into the inner cities and help. But, how many people know in your generation knew it?
Right. Like, that's the thing. It's a trickle down effect. Like I could say, my mom didn't know.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? My mom grew up in the 60s and 70s, and they only know what they know.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing about parenting. You parent from a place of either what you felt like that you lacked, or what you actually what was given to you.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Now, the only different change maker that you can have as a parent is when you see your shortcomings and then you work to be able to become different.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Because you only could give what you have.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but something powerful you just said was this, and this is the reality for a lot of people. They only know what they know.
Exactly.
Their capacity, it doesn't go past what they know.
Right.
So anytime they're introduced to something of a larger scale or a larger capacity, they can't handle it.
Exactly.
And when you're talking about building generational wealth, first you have to start with the inside.
Exactly.
It has to be a building on the inside out.
Exactly.
I just mentioned, we was having a conversation not too long ago about how powerful the invisible is. When we look at a tree or we look at a fruit tree, that fruit tree started in the ground.
Right.
So it started with something invisible.
Right.
And then what was invisible came visible. And I feel like that is likened to a lot of our younger generation, a lot of our people, that we have to first start with what's on the inside of our young men and what is their thought process.
Right.
What are they thinking?
Right.
And it goes back to what we were saying earlier about the music. A lot of the times when you have music, when you have all these different things playing and going, it builds something on the inside. And it's not principles and character traits for generational wealth.
Right. But, something that you said about the invisible, how would you connect that with having faith?
Well, faith is belief in the invisible. The word of God says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for. So faith is the substance of what you're hoping for. It's your belief system on what you believe can take place. And the invisible, when I say the invisible, it goes so deep. The invisible is more real than the visible. And I don't want to be spooky or anything.
No. Speak on it.
But I'm saying many people don't understand the invisible, what you can't see. Spiritual forces that are around you, what's taking place on the inside, things that are happening, all play a factor in who you become and who you are and how far you go. So, for instance, I'll use this for example. You instilled some things in me 5 years ago that no one will know that you instilled in me.
Right.
But they're there.
Right.
Electricity. No one has ever seen electricity.
Right.
But it powers everything that we do.
Right.
So when we start talking about the invisible, it's so many different realms of the invisible. We could talk about spiritual. We could talk about what's taking place on the inside. And I'm a big Christian. I believe in God, and I study the Word of God. But the Bible does mention a statement, and it says that the issues of life flow from out of the heart. So many people are having issues because they haven't fixed their heart. They haven't fixed what's taking place on the inside. And the heart is the mind, body, and soul.
Right.
So they haven't completely fixed that. And once you fix that, once that aligns with your purpose and God's vision for your life and the plan that you have, then I believe wealth can come. I think, me personally, that a lot of people that are wealthy, a lot of people that are very well off, they found something that they enjoyed doing. They found their purpose. And when they found that purpose, what happens is they align themselves with that purpose. And the problem with the younger generation is many of them don't know their purpose.
Well, I think that's definitely spot on, and not even just with the younger generation. I think many of our people have not been able to identify their purpose, and some that has been able to identify their purpose, it's hard to maneuver and solely work in that realm of your purpose, because a lot of times the way you started life may not have anything to do with your purpose. But we build a lot of times we build a life based upon survival. You know, that's a lot of things I talk about, especially in my book. I talk about the difference between purpose and survival.
Yes.
And the way that we were taught to use resources, financial resources, or just resources as a whole. Our counterparts, they was taught to use money as a tool to produce.
Right.
We was taught to use money as a tool to survive.
Absolutely.
So when you think about that being trickled down from generation to generation to generation, survival has a cap.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? If you are just looking, if you go out there and you ask the average person, anybody could test it. You go outside and you ask somebody, man, why do you earn money? They're going to say, man, I got to support my family. I got to feed my family. I got to take care of my kids. I got to do this. It's based upon something that they have to do to survive.
Absolutely.
I always talk about this even when I'm doing a workshop or what. I say, look, ask ChatGPT why wealthy people use money. Nothing, you will get no result that says anything that has to do with survival. They say wealthy people use money for philanthropy, for giving, to produce, to build opportunity, to build businesses, to buy assets. Nothing about survival.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
And the truth is, when we really look at it, I want to add a point to what you said. The way our people think is because of where they come from. You know, I think people forget that we're not that far out of segregation.
I say this all the time, bro.
You know, we're not that far out of segregation.
We ain't that far removed.
Yeah, we're not
we could still go find a family member.
Absolutely.
That was in that realm and can identify.
Father.
Your father, my mom, you know what I'm saying?
My father, when he was in high school, they were still drinking from white and black water bottles. So considering that, we have to give our people some credit.
Exactly. They got to get some grace.
Some grace, you know, on how, and grace on how far they have come.
Exactly.
And how quickly they have come.
Exactly.
So that survival instinct still has to be, it has to be unlearned.
Exactly.
It's not about what we know, it's about what we've learned that we need to unlearn.
Exactly.
So many people have things, and you talk about this all the time, and you mention it in your book as well, unlearning bad habits that keep you from going to the place that you need to go, or keep you from going where you need to go in terms of your financial success, your physical success, your spiritual success, and your mental success.
Yeah.
It's so many things that our people have to unlearn.
Exactly.
And we have to give them the grace to unlearn it, because based on just my studies, and I'm not going to say the exact words or the exact numbers because I don't know right off my head, but based on my studies and just some things I've been looking at, we have come, the middle class black man around the ages of 50 was around 60 to 70%. So I'm saying that to say that we've come far.
Oh, yeah.
In such a short time. We really have.
For sure.
We have to make sure that we acknowledge that. And a big word that I use that a lot of people don't like is the word pessimism. And that word means focusing on the negative.
Right.
You know, and a lot of times I think our people focus on what is negative rather than what is positive. I think that's one of the biggest
But that's a learned behavior.
That's a learned behavior.
You feel what I'm saying? Like you said, you know, to really get in, and I say all of this because, you know, I think when I really started to dive deep into, you know, my studies with some of this about 5-6 years ago, it really was, I would become upset just hearing, people on social media. Everybody wanted to teach people how to get money.
Absolutely.
It was like, it was a wave of it after the pandemic. Everybody was teaching you how to do this, teaching you how to trade, how to buy real estate, all of the things, right? And nobody was talking about the the foundational thing that what our people actually needed to really build wealth and be successful.
Absolutely.
I could teach you how to get money all day long. But if you haven't developed a relationship with your money, if you don't know the financial trauma that you have been through, me teaching you how to get the money ain't gonna matter, because you're gonna lose it in a couple of years anyway.
You're gonna lose it.
And that's been the trajectory of our history.
Absolutely.
They talking about closing the wealth gap. The wealth gap will never be closed. You'll never have a black Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos until we can produce a generation of black boys and girls that are financially healed, that have been trained in a way to use money the same way that they was trained in the way to use money.
And not only that, I think that it doesn't have as much as, we want to make, a lot of our people want to make it a black and white conversation. And it's not a black and white conversation. Right. It's a, what have you learned that you need to unlearn conversation? Right. What do you know that is incorrect that you need to relearn? And you're hitting the nail on the head when it comes to our people. Is so, because of the struggle, they've built these survival tactics that don't work.
Exactly.
And it's going to take men like you and other great men in the city that have broken that cycle to come in and to teach, like you're already doing, teaching and mentoring as many as you can.
Yeah.
Because right now, the influence goes back to social media. The influence that many of our young people are being influenced by are the rappers, the athletes, and it's cool, but everybody can't sing.
Right.
And everybody's not going to be 6'8".
Exactly.
So somebody's going to have to learn and teach our people what they need to know. And
then and to me, I look at it that the act has to be so selfless, because when I think about Martin Luther King, I think about the foundational aspects of what, people like him, people like Malcolm X did. Them brothers actually knew that what they were fighting for, they may not actually live to see to come to fruition.
Absolutely.
So they really didn't have no real benefit that they were going to gain from it.
Absolutely.
So it's like for us, we have to see things in that same way, that for this to really come in a way that where we say we're going to see a true change, it has to be a totally new generation of people that we're teaching these principles to, that we may not live to see actually happen, but we have to spark the mind
absolutely
to actually get it going.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. And I got to be okay with that. Like, my great grandchild, if they're learning this, I may not live to see the world change into this dynamic where there's a black Elon Musk.
Yeah.
But the conversation the training had to start here.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying?
The spark.
Yeah.
The spark, and everything starts with a spark. Even major fires, it starts with a spark.
Right.
You have to spark the minds, and I mean, it's able to be done, but we have to. You said something powerful when you talked about microwave. When you spark something, you have to keep it going. We can't microwave it, and that's one of the biggest things that we have to unlearn. We start things, we stop. Great things come and they stop it. What happens when things start working and we just cut it off? That's something we have to unlearn.
Right.
And this microwave generation, I don't know. Like you said, we may have to get the next generation after, because this generation is a generation that has their own mind about things. And the worst type of ignorant a person can be is a correct ignorant, meaning that they believe they're correct. So that's a problem that we have with this generation as well. You said something powerful. Everybody came out talking about how to make money and how to build wealth. And then those people that were talking were not wealthy. And those people that were giving out lessons had no idea of how to get there.
Right.
So you have people that are selling you a course,
right,
trying to get wealth from you,
right,
but they have no idea what they're talking about.
Right.
And a lot of people, if someone talks really well, they're very charismatic, we sit there and listen to it, and we don't fact check what a person is saying.
Right.
But back to that point, because I really have to get this out about microwavable things. people coming out and saying things and talking about things they have no business talking about. And that, I believe, is another major problem with this generation, black and white. We listen to people that really don't understand what they're talking about. And somebody that's really has built wealth or on the road to building wealth can spot that person immediately.
Facts.
85% of the content creators, I would say, maybe that's kind of high. I would say 65% of the content creators really don't have a clue of what they're really talking about.
Yeah.
And we have to be careful about what we receive.
Yeah.
It's not about what you listen to, it's what you receive.
Well, I think too, it goes into identity. We have a large, I ain't gonna keep throwing too much on your generation, man. I don't want people to feel like I'm YN or Gen Z bashing, but identity is a major crisis in our community.
Absolutely.
And that's across all spectrums. You know what I'm saying? No matter age group, whatever. Being able to actually form your own identity in today's world is a challenge.
Yes.
So I remember we was running it one day, and you was telling me you and a girl went on a date, and you were saying like, man, she couldn't even have a conversation.
Right.
Like talk to me about that. Tell me like what's been your experience when, to me you an old soul, you know what I'm saying, and you got a different level of maturity about you than the average person your age. But I think also, by gift and a curse for you is that because of your age, you're going to encounter a lot of guys and girls that really not on the same type of time as you.
Right.
So like, tell me how do you navigate through that, and give me some stories on some things that you've been through to where you like, man, I got to do something to try to make a change, or like something got to change.
Well, the first thing I'll say is that I have a couple projects in the workings right now.
Okay.
To bring some change and to attack this generation very aggressively. I have some things I'm working on right now. I'm partnering up with a few people, and we're going to attack. I'm going to attack as much as I can, probably here in Baton Rouge and in Louisiana. Attack this generation very, very violently to try to change the minds and thoughts of people. That's the first thing that I'll be doing on my side. But the second thing is with that young lady. With me, I spent a lot of time alone, and I spent a lot of time kind of reflecting and thinking in my thoughts about the future. So it's very hard for me to have a conversation with someone my age. I'm 23. So it was very hard because it goes back to what we said earlier. What they don't know is what they don't know.
Right.
And it turns into me teaching them rather than a conversation. Now with young ladies, I'm not dating anybody. When people don't see the world how you see it, sometimes that can be very irritating.
Yeah.
And when they can't have a conversation, it can be kind of disheartening because they're worried about the latest trends, and I'm worried about where our people will be in the next 15 to 20 years. So it's very hard for me to date. I kind of have to date older women.
Yeah.
I
can see that.
I kind of talk to older women. When I do talk, kind of women in your generation, late 20s, early 30s, because they have an understanding of how life works. But I really don't have a lot of patience for ignorance. Yeah. Not at my age. And I know that's kind of a harsh thing to say, but I'm just telling you the truth. Yeah. That if I sit down and have a conversation with somebody, and I think the biggest thing that I have a problem with is it's not people that don't know that I have a problem with. It's people that don't know and they think they know. Yeah. And they're not going to let you convince them that they don't know that I have a problem with. Yeah, right. I recently took a young lady on a date just recently, and we were talking about some things, and she said a few things that just really didn't make any sense. And I was trying to tell her, that's not how that works.
What she say?
Well, she went on this whole thing about with the new thing that Trump just did with the CNA thing he did with the nurses. Yeah. She was saying he don't want nurses. He don't want nurses around. And I was telling her that's not what happened. He removed that program, and when he removed that program, all he did was remove the excess amount of funds that they can receive. So he's not saying that they're not a profession. He's not saying that we don't need nurses. He's not saying that, and I'm not defending him. The guy's the guy.
Right.
I kind of walk my own path. I'm a God-fearing person, so I don't really deal with. I believe God's gonna take care of me.
Right.
But she was saying that he don't want nurses around and all this different thing, and I was saying that's not what he's saying, and she couldn't understand what I was telling her.
Right.
I was telling her that not that I'm on her defense mechanism
was that you was just trying to defend him.
That I'm trying to defend him.
Right.
You want to defend him and you don't, and I'm saying that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to explain to you what happened so you won't be in an uproar about it.
Yeah, but even more so, like, let's just have an intelligent conversation on why we disagree.
Why we disagree.
You know what I'm saying? But again, to your point, if you're talking to somebody that has a perspective, but they can't defend their argument or support their perspective, that's where that anger comes from in that conversation.
Absolutely.
The uproar comes from, because now she's feeling like you just a Trump supporter. You just defending Trump.
I'm attacking her.
Yeah, you're attacking her when it's really not that. You know
that's
what I'm saying?
Biggest. That's one of the biggest the worst things that can happen in a conversation.
Exactly.
That a person
because the conversation over.
Because the conversation over then, and then the date is over with. Because now you feel like I'm in opposition with you.
Right.
And I'm not even disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you what really happened. And this happens a lot.
Yeah.
When you're talking to somebody that is just not on the same intellectual level as you.
Right.
And and I have to be honest, our people do that a lot.
Yeah.
They when they can't defend themselves with their words, they get aggressive.
Yeah.
And they get defensive.
Yeah.
And the minute someone comes defensive, there's no more learning.
But that's why people say, never do something when you're angry.
Yeah.
Because when you're angry, and you can see it, if anybody, just pay attention. If you never heard this before, when you become angry, even within yourself, when you become angry, you can't think clearly.
You can't think.
And the reason why you can't think clearly, because all the blood rushes to your head, and it clouds your ability to make sound judgment.
Absolutely.
Or to actually even make a decision.
And honestly, having a tribe is okay. Mm-hmm. If we have a tribe, if we develop a group.
Right.
But tribalism is a problem.
Right.
Meaning that because we have our tribe, the other tribe is wrong.
Right.
Or because we have our tribe, we have to fight the other tribe.
Right.
That is a problem.
Right.
Amongst every race, amongst every generation, the minute that someone finds out that you disagree with them, they can't live with that. Mm-hmm. And we even see it even in Christianity in religion.
Oh, you see it.
Yeah, it's heavy in religion. It's heavy in religion that when we disagree with somebody else, we can't comprehend all of a sudden what they're doing.
Exactly.
And no one can learn and no one can grow like that.
Or the pastor can't make no mistake.
He can't make no mistake. That's a big thing. I'm not going to even, you don't want me to go down that rabbit hole, because my dad is a pastor.
Your dad is a pastor. We was gonna get to that. So let's So your dad is a pastor. How was that for you growing up?
Well, my story is very complex because I didn't stay with my father until I was 18.
Right, I remember that.
So I was at my mother's house, and my grandmother. They stayed super close, one house away from each other. So I spent a lot of time with my grandmother, but I didn't grow up in the house with him. But he a chill dude. He not really, just no super, just bash you with religion type of guy. That's not the type of. That's not the type of doctrine.
I remember you told me something like that. You was like, somebody was like, man, I don't see how your daddy could read the Bible all day long. Like he just studying, spirituality, reading the Bible all day long. You was like, he be looking at y'all like he don't know how y'all could do what y'all. He don't know how y'all could not do this all day long.
Absolutely.
How y'all could do what y'all doing all day long and I be doing this all day.
Absolutely. The realities.
I always remember that.
Yeah. The realities of the world are different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So of course, 20-year-old, like, how can he do that? And he looking at them like, how you outside all night?
Right, exactly.
But when you have that understanding between people, everybody can comprehend with everybody.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing that I really would like to see happen.
Yeah.
For not just my generation, but the generation after me, to be able to comprehend what's taking place.
Yeah. Yeah.
To really be able to understand what's taking place. But back to growing up as a preacher's son, I would do week on, week off. Mm-hmm. Because him and my mom were divorced. But when you look at the trajectory of religion, spirituality, there are so many problems. There are some good things and there are bad things in everything you do.
Exactly.
In everything you do. Just because the doctor makes a mistake don't mean you stop going to the doctor.
Exactly.
Or just because, you know, something happens or a police officer treats you wrong, you don't stop calling the police when something happens.
Right.
So religion and pastoral positions and offices are the only offices that are scrutinized the way they are scrutinized without any grace.
Right.
I think that is something people need to understand, that your pastor is a human being.
Exactly.
Yeah, your pastor is a human being.
I'm sure that you've learned a lot of lessons on how to evolve and deal with conflict from your father, just being a pastor and being able and having to just navigate through, you know, people not seeing you as a man, a human being.
Yeah.
And still having to get up every day and be that figure and produce. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. He taught me, but the first thing that he taught me, and I'm going to teach everybody this right now that's going to listen to this, is understanding.
Yeah.
Don't listen to what someone is saying. Understand why they are saying what they're saying. Understand where it's coming from.
Right.
If somebody says something, if I know it's not your character to be an angry person.
Exactly.
And you come in one day and you say something, I'm not going to look at what you said and hold you to what you said. I'm going to realize, okay, that's not his character.
Exactly.
I have to figure out maybe something's going on or something is wrong.
That's the thing right there.
Yeah, having understanding with people.
Is knowing the character of a person.
Absolutely.
You know, because people could do anything. You know, it's funny you said that, because I've had that conversation with my wife before. I said, you know, we just talking about different situations that, you know, she might have been in with friend groups or whatever. I said, well, and that's usually my posture. Was that her character? Is that the consistency of how that person operates?
Absolutely.
Or is that his character? If it's not, then you got to find, all right, well, why did they do this, and that? You know what I'm saying? But the other part is that a lot of times in the way we live right now, people not really taking the time to learn somebody's character. That takes time.
You
feel what I'm saying? That takes time. That takes time together. You know, you can't learn somebody's character off of social media.
No, you can't.
Off of a text message, off of a phone call. That takes time spent to be able to identify, like, man, what kind of person is this person really is,
right.
You know?
But people don't build relationships anymore.
Exactly.
It goes back to what you said earlier when you hit the nail on the head with a microwave. They just see a person and they see that person as not a person, but as an object.
Right.
You know, and everybody does it.
Yeah.
You know, no, it's not once again, this is not a race thing here. Everybody does this.
Yeah.
That split second, what do I need you for? And when you have that mindset of what do I need you for, you have now negated everything that's going on with that person.
Right.
Okay, just like going to a bank teller, you go up to the bank teller, that bank teller could be dealing with the death of a family member or dealing with somebody else, but you're just looking at her attitude. But I just need you to handle this money for me. You see what I'm saying? Right. So people don't learn character because they are, I'll say it this way, they are unaware of what's taking place around them. And we're living in a generation that is very self-aware. And they're not aware outwardly of what's taking place. They're not aware of their surroundings.
It's everything about how I feel.
It's about how I feel.
How I feel, how you made me feel. You know, it's about me. You know, not so much about, you know, anybody else. So you 23. What does 30 look like for you when you think about your future?
In all honesty, I really don't have a vision of 30. I don't have a vision of 30. I really do think and believe in my heart that God has already planned my steps. So right now I'm in a place that I'm kind of walking by faith. Okay. I'm walking by faith and I'm letting God put me in places that he needs to put me in his divine time and his divine alignment. Many people don't walk according to their divine alignment because they don't know it. And they make all these goals for themselves and they have all these different things set for themselves, but none of it never happens. Right. Because they get off course or they don't understand the purpose for their life. So I know that in 30, I will tell you this, I know by the age of 30, I'll be very, very successful. I'll be a successful man. I hope to have maybe a wife, you know, maybe a child. Okay. No child. No child? But no kids? No child, not at 30. Maybe a wife.
So no kids at all, just not at 30?
Just not at 30.
Okay.
Not at 30. It's still so much work needs to be done.
I feel that.
Yeah, it's so much work needs to be
Yeah.
done. I see kids maybe around 36.
Okay.
Because then I'll be descending
Mm-hmm.
off of all the plans that has been given to me
Okay.
divinely. They've been given to me to execute. So I'll execute those plans. But when you have children and you have all those other responsibilities, it kind of
it convolutes
Yeah.
it changes the focus.
it changes the focus.
You know,
It changes
and
the focus.
and it's not saying that you know, kids aren't in the cards, but it's like, you know, it's with timing, and then you know, you can't give what you don't have. You can't pour
Absolutely.
from an empty cup.
Absolutely.
And kids don't ask to be here.
Absolutely.
And I think that a lot of times as adults, we make decisions, we make finite decisions, especially by bringing kids into this world, being unprepared.
Yes.
You feel what I'm saying? If you know that you could barely support yourself, nothing is going to change about you bringing a child into this world.
Right.
It's only going to make it worse. It ain't
Absolutely.
going to change the dynamic. Like, you just going to magically be able to start providing this beautiful life for you and this child when you couldn't provide it for yourself. You
Absolutely.
know, it takes awareness, and then it takes, I'll say, skill,
Absolutely.
to be able to start developing those habits that you can actually produce something for yourself and for your child and that family.
And it takes being hyper focused.
Yeah.
When you want to really accomplish something of a great magnitude, as like changing a generation or like stepping into a generation and altering things, it's going to take focus.
Exactly.
And while children will be good and a wife will be good, you know, like you need somebody to help you. That's why I said a wife. Children are a good thing, but it's just, it takes away from the focus of things.
Right.
I remember when you were running your campaign not too long ago, you were hyper focused at that time. We were focused. Nothing but that. Every day we will focus on that. And that's one of the things you taught me as well, that when you focus on something, if you're going to succeed at it, you have to devote your time to it and devote your attention to it and focus on nothing else.
Yeah.
Kids are good, but they're you have to be with them. You know, you have to raise them.
I say it jokingly, but very serious. I say kids are like the worst investment you can make. When you so me being in the investment world, when I think about investments, because when you make an investment as an investor, you're looking for a return on investment.
Absolutely.
Something that at least speculative, you can gauge a certain percentage of return on investment. When you have kids, we don't know what you're getting, bro.
No.
You know what I'm saying? You can get them kids everything in the world, and they turn around, they ain't gonna want to take care of you when you're old. It's a one-sided situation until you raise that, until that child develops their own identity and they are able to bring back the concepts that you have instilled in them.
Yeah.
But again, that's a 50-50 shot.
That's a 50%. But not only that.
And in the world of investing, that ain't a good investment.
No.
You know what I'm saying? But hey, I love my kids.
To add to
The
what
kids
you're
are great.
saying, and to add what you're saying, right now I'm very selfish.
Yeah.
Honestly, if I'm being completely honest, I really don't. When you get kids, you have to share.
You do. You have to become selfless.
Yeah, you have to become selfless, and I'm all about my vision right now.
Yeah.
Notice when I say my vision, the vision that has been given to me, I'm all about bringing success to my family and making sure they're in the correct place. And
But the great thing is when you decide that you're going to have kids, now you've made a decision.
yes, absolutely.
So you've made a decision now I want to impart something into
Absolutely.
this child that I'm bringing into this world and give them a life. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So, you know, I think that's where the difference comes in that.
Yeah.
I think it's very enlightening, you know, that you have found your purpose. You're going to get people that's going to listen to this and say, okay, well, you know, I may know my purpose, but my purpose ain't going to pay my bills.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? You know, I didn't really figure out what God had, the plan that God had for my life, or even really knew what purpose meant until I was, 32 years old.
Right.
You know, I grew up, on a hustle, just surviving. You know what I'm saying? That was what life was. You get money, you get to the money, and there was nothing else that was important.
Right.
I ain't know nothing about purpose or passion. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't getting money, then I couldn't resonate with it.
Yeah.
So learning about what purpose actually meant later on in life, it actually, changed my whole perspective about life.
Yeah.
So what are those things that you're setting up for yourself right now to where what I call a free life is where you can get up every day and do what God wants you to do, where you ain't got to worry about how you eating. You ain't got to worry about how money coming to you. You know, what's that infrastructure look like for you?
Well, the infrastructure will be system building.
Okay.
The infrastructure for me would be system building. Right now, we're looking at several different places and properties. We have a couple things in our ownership already that bring in what we call mailbox money.
Gotcha.
And one of the things that you taught me was if you're not making money while you're resting, then you're not making money. The infrastructure that I want to set and that I'll give to everybody else, the blueprint is that you want to find a system that's going to bring you money. And you may not have the money to invest, but that's where the grind comes in at.
Right.
You may not have the startup money right now, but you have to grind it out.
Right.
You may not be walking in your purpose right now, but in the meantime, until you get to your purpose, you have to be working towards your purpose. See, that's the thing. Don't negate what God created you to be for somebody else's vision.
Right.
If you're going to work to survive, but make sure that you have enough energy for your purpose.
Right.
Do the job to the best of your ability. Go and be all that the company or wherever you work needs you to be. But when you're done, be there for yourself.
Right.
And don't negate. And I see so many people get lost in other people's visions and their purpose. They start working these jobs and they get comfortable.
Right.
And they forget about all the plans and visions and all these different things that they had when they were young. When you ask somebody that's a child what they want to do, they have all these different plans and visions, but life rips it from them and takes it from them, and they forget about it and they leave it alone. And that is because they don't actively work. Put the purpose on a vision board.
Right.
Actively see it every day that this is really what I want to be. I'm here only for a moment. I'm here only for a short time. I'm here only to get this goal.
And some people I think don't understand. You know, we live in a society right now. People act like if you work in a job, you like the devil. You know, everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur. Everybody's supposed to be a business owner. That's cool. But the reality of that's not what God planned for everybody to do.
Absolutely.
There's people in this world that God intended for you to be of service.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? And that may be supporting somebody else's vision. It ain't saying that that you won't be wealthy, that you won't have the riches of this world, or that God won't bless you if you are working this 9 to 5, because they got people that's working 9 to 5 that are multimillionaires.
Absolutely.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. In that job, because that's what they were destined to do.
That's what they were destined to do.
You feel what I'm saying? Yeah. But knowing and even having the mindset to seek out, God, what is it I'm actually supposed to be doing? And I use an example. I say, if you're doing something and you're angry about it, if you're going to a job that you don't like, if you're doing something every day for survival and you hate it, chances are that ain't what God told you to go do.
That's not what he told you to do.
You feel what I'm saying?
That's not what he wants you to do.
Some of my favorite stories in the Bible are, the book of Job, the story of Moses, story of Joseph. Man, these dudes was balling.
Yeah, they were.
Off of and none of them never tried to be.
No.
They didn't try to get all of the wealth and riches that they acquired, they didn't even try to get it.
It was the purpose.
Exactly.
But let's talk about that Moses very quickly, because I believe in that book of Exodus, God does something that is, people, if you don't really read, you won't really see it. But he tells Moses, go get these 2 anointed people.
Yep.
I'm not going to butcher their name, but he says, go get these 2 anointed people, because I've anointed them for craftsmanship. I've anointed them for the stone crafting.
To come work for you.
To come work for you. So basically, in other words, he was saying, I've anointed them to build all the priestly garments. So their anointing was not to be in Moses' seat. It was not to be the visionary. Their anointing and what God purposed for them to be were craftsman persons.
Right. And was they going to be any less blessed or rich or wealthy? They weren't.
Their name was still called.
For
what they were known for, or what God had purposed for their lives.
Right.
So it's not that they're any less successful. Matter of fact, me personally, these are my personal beliefs.
Yeah.
I believe that if you find success without purpose, you have still failed.
You are, because you're still going to be looking for the next thing.
You're going to be looking for the next thing. If you find success outside of God's will for your life, you still fail, because you have not completed what the Heavenly Father really destined for you to complete.
Exactly.
So you didn't complete your earthly assignment.
Right.
So, I mean, that's my personal beliefs.
Right.
And
it's not saying that you won't be successful on earth, but you won't be as successful as you could have been.
As you could have been. As you could have been.
Yeah.
You won't be as successful and fulfilled as you could have been.
Right.
This is why you see many people with a lot of money. They work these jobs, but they're not happy. Because their purpose is not there.
Right.
There's something that they want to do. It's something that they want to be involved in that they are not. Wealth without purpose, or wealth and not being happy, is not wealth.
It ain't.
It's not wealth.
It ain't.
It's not a free life because you're in bondage in your mind.
Exactly.
You see, bondage of the mind. Strongholds on the mind is what cause all the problems.
Yes.
Strongholds on the mind. A lot of people are not free in their thought process.
Never. Not at all.
You're free physically, but spiritually and mentally, you're bound.
So look, man, before we wrap, man, it's been a pleasure to have you on the set, bro. You definitely got to come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You got to keep coming back. But if you want to lead the people with one last word of wisdom, you know what I'm saying? What would you tell them?
One last word of wisdom. Focus on your purpose in God. Focus on what God has called you to do. And in the meantime, until you get to where God wants you to go, work on yourself. Be diligent. Be attentive. Be sharp. Especially for my generation. Learn to be sharp. And the biggest thing that I'll say is the world is not what many think it is. And I'll leave it at that. The world is not what many people think it is. Educate yourself and have an understanding of what's taking place.
Well, y'all heard it here first. Uncoded Conversations. I'm Jay Gode. It's my boy, Guevara Johnson. We out.
All right.